One of the biggest mistakes that I did as a restoration founder and a owner of a large restoration company was embrace what I call transactional leadership and the GSD mentality. I kind of referenced it below, but for those of you that don't know what GSD is, it's get done, right? As hustlers and as early successful entrepreneurs, we're kind of trained by society that the more you do, the more successful you become. And the problem is that plateaus at a certain point. And again, within restoration, I'd say my midlife crisis within restoration was between like $3 and $5 million a year. And that's where like getting done didn't really work anymore, right? I had a team of 50 people that I had to coach and try to get somewhere. And again, I would call this transactional leadership, right? And the three principles of transactional leadership are principle number 1, do or tell somebody to do something. Step number 2, check and make sure it got done. And then number 3 would be next, go on to something else. So it looks something often like, even if you get really good at delegating, you're telling a technician to go do flood cuts, then you're checking that technician did those flood cuts, and a lot of times they didn't, and you get really frustrated. And then once they actually do it, then you go on to next, right? Every single employee that you add onto your list adds more and more and more things that you have to tell them to do, things that you have to check that they've done, and then things that you have to tell what to do next. And essentially what that means is every single employee you add on your plate, it adds more stress to you, which is, the stress then becomes unbearable. What I've learned fairly quickly in my career is instead of the transactional nature of leadership, move things over to transformational leadership. And essentially what you're doing is you're outcome based and you're trying to coach employees for specific outcomes. And the steps here look a lot different. Step number 1 is make an outcome clear, right? So tell a specific employee the outcome that you want to go to. And a lot of times you're giving them ownership over a specific metric. So, hey, Susie, instead of me telling you to call the adjuster on this file every single day, I'm giving you ownership over the outcome of how quickly our restoration company collects money. Number 2 is we need to have a way to measure it, right? So we're going to give an outcome and then we're going to measure. So every single week or maybe even every single day, we see that number. Susie, you're collecting every 40 days, every 30, over whatever it might be. Then step number 3 is we need to become great coaches so that way we can coach Susie or that specific person on the outcome. So that way the measurement gets better, right? And coaching is the hardest thing ever, right? Because again, back to GSD and get done mentality. Oh, Susie, I'm just going to pick up the phone and call that adjuster myself. Like, what in the world? You can't do it, right? Because it's the easiest thing in the world. It's very easy for you to just jump in and do it. But guess what? You're creating a behavior where the entire company relies on you diving in and just doing it. Instead, you need to take 2 steps back and become a better coach and coach that person on how they could do it themselves, because then you're not adding stuff on your plate and you're not adding stress onto your plate. So that's kind of the difference between transactional and transformational leadership. And in my opinion, it's the only way to grow the business that you're going to love, right? Because you can quickly grow to 3 to 10, whatever $1 million a year and grow the business that you grow to absolutely hate because there's just so much on your plate. Or you could choose the other route where you're growing and transforming people's lives. You're a true leader, making people outcome focused and having people produce more outcome. If you like this Albi After Hours video and want to hear more, please like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate it. And the one fee that we charge for anybody watching these videos is to give us a comment down below and tell us your key takeaway. It just makes our lives a lot easier at producing better value for you guys. And again, these videos are free. That's the only fee.